evening, West Orange, and welcome to the West Orange Council of PTA's annual Board of Education candidate debate. The Council of PTA's debate has historically been one of the signature events that we have held as a service to our community. West Orange Council of PTA's membership is comprised of all West Orange PTA Executive Board members. Our council mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. West Orange Council of PTAs supports and empowers our school district's PTAs units through communication, training, and collaboration. But our primary objective as a council is advocacy, to work together to advocate and address issues within our district on behalf of our parents and teachers. We are fortunate to have representatives from the Board of Education and our superintendent at our council meetings. This gives us the opportunity to learn firsthand about the challenges our district faces and how we can help. PTA membership is open to anyone. You do not have to be a parent to be involved. Please support your local PTA. Your support will help us continue our work as the primary educational advocacy organization on behalf of the 7,000 students here in West Orange. We are fortunate to have two talented candidates this year from which to choose, Mr. Ken Alper and Mr. Christopher Diaz. Tonight, our candidates will have an opportunity to introduce themselves, answer a few prepared questions, respond to your written questions, and leave you with closing statements. We hope that you will leave here feeling well prepared to cast your vote on November 7th. If you would like to ask a question and you did not receive a note card, there are some available on the desk where you came in, or you can raise your hand and somebody will bring you a note card. After the candidates have made their opening statements, these fine people, raise your hands. Kevin, Jennifer, or Addison will pick up your cards and they will collect your questions. Please be thoughtful and try not to ask something that has already been addressed. Before we begin our proceedings, I would like to take a few moments to thank some folks who have helped with the organization of tonight's event. I would like to thank Mr. Rutsky, our superintendent, for his support. I would also like to thank his assistant, Liz Hughes, along with Kathy McCormick, in securing date and location for this evening's debate. I'd like to thank Dr. Kimberly Mansarella and Kirk Roberts, who with very late notice helped us set up with the sound and recording here in the LMC. Finally, I'd like to thank the candidates for participating in tonight's debate. I know your calendars are quite busy, and we truly appreciate you making this commitment. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our debate moderator, Mr. Carlos Astacio, Acting Executive Director for the Newark Debate Academy. Mr. Astacio has been involved in competitive debates since 2006. He debated for his high school, University High School in Newark, and for Rutgers University. As a debate coach, Carlos has helped various debaters at major national tournaments around the country. He currently serves full-time as the Acting Executive Director for the Newark Debate Academy. Carlos, we welcome you to West Orange.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, thank you. So first, a few things. I'm just going to go over the rules for the debate. So first thing I want everybody to do is pull out their phones. I'm serious, pull out your phone. Sometimes you think it's silence, but you don't actually silence it. And silence or turn off your phones, because the last thing we want is for it to be ringing during one of your candidates' responses. The second thing is there's to be no distribution of campaign materials in the debate. The debate is supposed to be an unbiased debate that is meant to provide you all the opportunity to make your own decisions about which candidate you prefer in your election. Third, there's to be no expression of any form of support for either one of the candidates during the debate. So it's just like the presidential debates where you have to hold your applause to the very end when you can clap for both candidates. If you have nothing nice to say, you also shouldn't say that. So just to give you a laundry list, no applause, no gestures, no holding up of signs or anything of the sort to express support to any response or discuss any responses. And remember that your chance to speak is at the voting box rather than here. And the last thing I'll leave you with is to remember to keep an open mind, that they're still here to earn your vote. Don't assume that just because you already know who you're going to vote for, that you're not willing to change your mind. Because that's the whole point of democracy, and of voting is so that you can make your own informed decisions. So now let me go over the timing for the debates. There will be 3 questions I'll be asked from priorly written questions, and the responses will have 1 minute to answer those questions with 30 seconds to rebut their opponent's responses. Along with that, there will be a 2-minute opening argument from both candidates, as well as a 1.5-minute closing statement from both candidates. So, unless there are any questions, I would like to introduce the first opening speaker, Mr. Alper.
It's the other way around. It's the other way.
I thought we switched it. Okay, so Mr. Diaz.
Thank you. Thank you to the West Orange Council of PTAs, to the League of Women Voters, and to everyone for coming out tonight. My name is Chris Diaz, and I'm asking you to elect me to the West Orange Board of Education. How's that? Okay. I'm Chris Diaz, and I'm asking you to elect me to the West Orange Board of Education. And I'm asking this because I'm an advocate. I've been advocating for our children, for our parents, for our teachers, and our community, both personally and professionally, as an attorney for almost 20 years. As a member of the community, I am an extremely active dad. I have been involved in Girls on the Run and helping to bring that to West Orange. My family proudly sponsors Bubbles for Autism every single year in our district, and I am a proud Girl Scout dad and a proud sports dad. Now, if you've been listening over the last 2 years, you've heard my voice. And you've heard my voice because I've been very loudly advocating for our special needs students, for our teachers, for fair testing and honors criteria. I've pushed the board on accountability for taxes and spending. I've pushed the board for better children's programs and a pathway to success for all of our kids. Most frighteningly to some, I have also pushed for transparency. The time for backroom deals in the West Orange Board of Education and the West Orange School District must be at an end. Now, all of these form my platform. ACT. Accountability, children's programs, and transparency. If you feel that it is time to act, if you feel that this is a call to action, if you feel that this is the way that a school district should be run, I ask you to give me your vote on November 7th for West Orange Board of Education. Thank you.
No applause.
I'm breaking my own rule.
Mr. Alper?
Thank you. There we go. Hi, thank you, Ken Alper. I was born in New Jersey, grew up at the Jersey Shore, and moved to West Orange 20 years ago. 4 years later, my wife and I, starting our family, decided, we were looking for houses and trying to decide where to go, and we realized West Orange was home. It really just felt right, and it felt like we belonged. We thought that we had a safe community and great schools and a great value for our money here, and really importantly, we had great diversity in town, and that's the way we wanted to raise our kids. So, my wife Ronnie and our son's now 6th grade at Edison and a sophomore here at the high school. They've had great teachers throughout. We've had terrific experiences here in West Orange. And, over time, I became more of a volunteer and did more things within the community, working through the school, working on the Gregory project to complete our bus lane and our Kiss and Go in the back. And through that, I really developed a lot of consensus building skills, working together with lots of different people with different viewpoints, and realizing that I could provide some leadership to the board as well, providing those same skills. Professionally, I have 22 years of experience in market research, conducting data analysis, and I think combined with that, with my community involvement and my other skills, especially my ability to listen and propose workable solutions, and I think I can be a real asset on the board. I want to keep our schools strong. I think it's critical to keep our property values high, and strong schools are the way to do that at At the same time, we have to stabilize our property taxes so that we can all afford to stay in West Orange after our kids are done in school. Not just us with kids in school, but those of us who don't have kids in school or in private school or our seniors. It's really important we get on that. You know, in summary, I have a really positive attitude about West Orange, about our schools, and about what we can accomplish when we all work together. And yeah, I hope I can make a strong contribution to the school board, and I thank you for your vote, hopefully.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the first question, which will be answered by Mr. Diaz. Are the candidates ready? So first question, in your view, what has the district done well over the last 5 years? What has the district done poorly that you would change? You have a minute to respond, Mr. Diaz.
So what have we done well? We have succeeded with teachers, professional development. We've succeeded in high school programs, like development of our departments in engineering and sciences, Chinese, health services. We have new supervisors, grades 6 through 12. We have a strategic planning process. We have technology equipment, expansion. We've got Google Classroom. We've got better building maintenance and school safety and improved writing department. What have we done poorly? We need better accountability and transparency in finance and curriculum. We need a better math K through 8 program. We don't have a grading rubric for K through 8. We need guidance, counseling, and career development, and HAP, and honors redevelopment. We need to change our middle school dress code. We can solve this through surveys and town hall meetings by creating priorities for strategic planning and objectives, public reviews of our statute and curriculum with New Jersey State Board School Association, and public discussion of problems.
That is time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alper?
So I think one of the things that we've done really well is that we've started acknowledging student achievement here at the Board of Ed meetings, and that maybe takes too long some nights, and maybe we should separate that out and do those in separate meetings, but I think all in all it's fantastic that our kids are getting the recognition they deserve for their accomplishments. Public relations has been really strong in the past couple of years, especially if you look on social media, where you can see every day the great things that are happening in our schools. We put lights, the district put lights on the football field, which doesn't sound that important, but it really builds this whole community spirit and makes a huge difference. The re-registrations that we've done to make sure that it's only West Orange kids going to West Orange schools, the one-to-one technology initiatives, and it doesn't...
I'm sorry, that is time.
Really?
It's only a minute, sir.
Just 30 seconds. It's a 30-second rebuttal.
No, that wasn't
No,
a rebuttal, that
he's
was my
to
minute
have a
statement.
minute to answer, and then they both get a chance to have 30 seconds to rebut.
I thought it was 1:30, 1:30, 1:30. That's what
okay.
they're doing.
It's 1-1, 30-30.
Oh, see, I keep saying to people, is it 1:30, 1:30? Ah.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Sorry. I cannot.
My
tell you.
apologies.
Oh my God.
Just tell me when to start again, that's okay.
Listen,
No worries.
11-year-old. I'm giving you more time on the clock. Okay, go.
So the one-to-one technology initiatives have been fantastic, and it doesn't sound that exciting, but the district refinanced bonds a little while back, and that saved a bundle. On the downside, one of the things that I'm really not happy about is still the honors program. With all the cracks we've taken at it, it still isn't what it's supposed to be, either the program itself or the testing to get in. And just in general, communications are the district's real weak spot, and it's the thing I most want to focus on should I be elected. Everything from the website, where you can't find any information, especially if you're on a phone, to just the way we speak to each other at meetings, the board to the public and to each other. And communications is really our weakest position right now.
Mr. Diaz, you have 30 seconds to rebut.
Okay, so something that Ken and I agree on is the failure of the honors program. And I have stood here at this, in this very room during Board of Education meetings, and I've called the board and the superintendent on their failure to follow the law when it comes to the honors program. The board has not had an opportunity to vet the test that has been created by the superintendent and the administration. That test is done completely in secret, and as a result of that, we are not only in violation of the law, but we're in violation of 4 board policies.
Mr. Alper, you have 30 seconds to respond.
So on the honors testing, while I think there are problems with it, I don't believe that it's properly the role of the school board to design what's in a test. The school board should certainly be aware of the content areas and should be making certain that there's nothing being tested on that hasn't been learned yet at that point in the school year. But as far as creating actual questions or seeing actual questions, to me, that's micromanagement. It's outside of the board's correct scope of duties, and it can create a conflict if a board member has a child who might themselves be taking the test at some point. I just don't think that that's the right thing to do.
Thank you. Next question, which will be answered first by Mr. Alper. What is your opinion of the current PARCC testing and its impact on the teachers and students? Is it delivering on its promise? What changes do you see in the implementation and the content?
So I've been a pretty vocal critic of PARCC for a number of years in virtually every forum. I don't like that it's created by politicians and not by educators. I think that's a real problem with the testing industry as a whole right now. It produces for our teachers this race to finish the year's content because they've got to get through a full school year's worth of content in time for the test in the spring and not in June at the end of the school year. It absolutely fails to deliver on its promises. It's giving our families and our teachers too little information too late. It's not the deep dive into where students are succeeding and where they need help that we were promised when we signed on to this. Statistically, I find it all dicey. The changes they make year to year and the fact that there's such a high number of opt-outs, especially in the high school, but I am concerned about some of the data I see in the middle school numbers where math scores appear to be declining between 5th, 6th, and 7th grades. The kids opting out would be the same year after year. We need to investigate and see if that's real or if it's an anomaly from the test. Long term, I think it's going to go away. Short term, less clear.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz, the same question. You also have 1 minute to respond.
Great. So along the campaign, the feedback that I've been getting from teachers and from supervisors is that PARCC is poorly conceived in its content and its structure. For teachers, the impact is the endless test preparation that takes away from instructional time. You combine that with everything else that they have to do, the additional tests that they have to prepare students for. Now add on to that map testing, which has just been put on top of everything else, and you are left with a reduced amount of instructional time in the classroom. The impact on students, ask any of them. It's being overstressed from being tested on a constant and consistent basis. What we have seen from PARCC is that we are failing our children when it comes to algebra. We're not appropriately offering them in the younger and middle school grades. And in other districts, this higher order teaching, this higher order development is provided, and we don't get that here in this district, and PARCC has actually bared that out. The districts with these concepts are the districts where this is taught earlier. As a district...
Thank you.
Thank you.
30 seconds.
I would disagree with a few of those things, but most importantly, on the algebra front, I don't think that we can show that from the data we have, because algebra is tested at the high school level, and very few, especially 11th and 12th graders, have ever had a reason to take PARCC. It's been essentially a meaningless test for them, so they don't. I don't think that we can make judgments on that, and pushing algebra back and pre-algebra back into younger grades isn't going to do anything to help improve the test scores that do look problematic to me, where we see a slide from 5th to 6th to 7th grade. That's before they're testing on algebra, and I don't think that's the issue. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz, you also have 30 seconds.
Thanks.